Hi everyone! Today I am going to talk about my schedule when I had a day job and I had to fit my writing around my job, and my schedule now that I don't have a day job anymore, but I'm much more busy and I'm trying to develop my creative business. So when I had a day job, I used to work in a theatre. That means that most of my shifts were in the evening. That means that I tried to do most of the writing and most of the things that I needed to do before going to work. So I usually got up around 9-10. I am not an early riser, so for me that was early enough. And then get ready, prepared everything, and then I would start to write. Usually around 12. That would be kind of when I would write after doing everything I needed to do, and then I would go to work depending on the day, either around 2, around 4, around 5. That depended. When I worked in theatre, I started as an usher, so I used to start much later, and then I became a supervisor, then a manager. So gradually my shift became longer. So gradually I had less time to do all the writing before. But also my schedule depended on if I had a deadline or not. So for example, if I was doing something like NaNoWriMo, which is a challenge in November every year, that meant that I had a lot of writing to get done every day. That meant that usually I had to free at least 2 hours per day for writing, which is a lot. So then I would probably get up earlier, I would probably do less chores, have maybe see friends less often. But yeah, so that's what I had to do if I had quite a big deadline. My shifts lasted probably until around 11:30. That means that usually when I came back home, I would not write or do anything. If I did something, it would probably be social media, replying to the interactions that I had during the day that I couldn't do because I was at work. Unless, again, it was something like NaNoWriMo and I was late, because it usually happens, and I had to write, and then I would write until like 1 or 2 a.m. But that was really when I had a deadline. I don't think I could do that all year long. So yeah, I tried to have this rhythm pretty much every day, because I really try to build the writing, especially because writing is quite, it's a lot of energy. I try to build it as a habit. So I didn't have to find any motivation, because that would be the thing that I do. When I see it's 12 o'clock on the clock, that's it. That's when I start writing, and that's what I did every day. Now, if I had a day that was a bit different, and I know that some of you might have shift work that is different every day, then that would depend. If I had a double shift, for example, and I really didn't have any time to write, I would still try to do something that is related to my books, or building my audience on social media, doing something on my website, anything to just feel like my day wasn't just wasted at work. So that was when I had a full-time job, and I had to find time to do my art on the side. Now I don't have a day job anymore. I quit my job in January, and at first I thought I would have some problems scheduling my work. I thought I would treat it as a holiday, but it turns out I am so busy with the Part-Time Artist. The Part-Time Artist has become a multimedia, multi-platform business. I have a book, I have a blog, I have a podcast, I have a YouTube channel now. That means I'm super busy. That means that really I feel like I'm much more productive than I was even when I had a job and I was constrained and I had to be there. And I do really long hours of work. The weird thing is I have kept pretty much the same rhythm than when I was working. I am still a night owl. I'm still not an early riser, so that means that I do most of my work from early afternoon until quite late in the evening. I usually start again around the same time as I did when I was working. So it's kind of like that habit that I built when I was working is still there, even though I don't have the job. I still start roughly around the same time. And I still finish roughly also around the same time. I have a hard time stopping what I'm doing until 10, 10, 11. Sometimes it has happened that I was still working at midnight. So I guess that's my natural rhythm. And I don't want to change it because it works for me. If you are more of a early person, it might just work better for you to wake up early and do your work before everyone else is awake. So I think you have to find your own rhythm, and if it works for you, that's fine. So I do usually start with something quite easy. I do a few lessons on Duolingo. I'm currently learning Norwegian, so that's what I start my day with. And then I get rid of the most annoying things first. So I would say probably applying to freelance jobs, or doing like banking, taxes, money, these kind of things first. So I'm rid of it. I start with something easy, then I do like the worst part, and then I start working on the part-time artist related stuff. I usually start with the thing that takes the most brain power. So that's how I organize my day. I go from the most difficult task to the easiest task in the evening. So things like writing a blog post is quite, taking a lot of energy, shooting a video, recording a podcast episode, all these things I do first thing. And then I go into things like editing, things like working on the website. I love to tinker with code on my website. That's the kind of thing that I do that takes a lot of time. So I do that after things like writing. And then I finish the day usually with things that are a bit easier, things like social media, image editing, these kind of things. So that's how I usually organize my day these days, as opposed to when I was working. Now, if you're interested in this subject, you might be interested in the blog post that I posted a couple of days ago on my website that talks about 8 unexpected things that happen when you quit your day job. Because when I was working, I was hoping and praying one day I will have my own business and I will quit my job. But it has some unexpected consequences, some good and some bad, and I wrote a blog post about it. So the link will be in the description below. If you're interested, head to the blog. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more videos like this one, click on the subscribe button down there, and I will see you next time.